Well, the official Hall of Fame announcement has been made, and once again, I'm not in.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and on the Instagrams. You can follow me mainly at, I go to Instagram. I'm at Locked On, I'm at Sully Baseball Pod. I would always make that same mistake. You know what? Just leave the comments here on YouTube. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it, folks? It's game time. One thing I quickly want to address. Yes, I'm aware that the Toronto Blue Jays don't give their players Canadian money. I understand they pay them normally into their bank account. I was making a comment about no one wanted to take Toronto's money, and I thought that was a poetic way of saying it. But there you go. And look, I've been asked to not only talk about Dodgers acquisitions. I'm talking too much about that. So big signing today. Kirby Yates, all-star pitcher, signed with, oh, crap, he signed with the Dodgers. I just can't win. Well, do you know who can win? The people who are elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And there was an announcement today, this afternoon, for the new members of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, yesterday, I made my predictions to show that I'm not just a Monday morning quarterback, that I will make predictions, and I'll stand by my predictions, even if they're wrong. I'll say I won't pretend that I didn't make them. So what I'm going to do right now, before I continue on with the show, I am going to play a clip from yesterday's show, about a 25-second clip from yesterday's show of my predictions of what I thought was going to happen and what I wanted to happen in terms of the Hall of Fame results. So here we go. This is from yesterday's show where I did my Hall of Fame picks and what I wanted to see happen. In fact, I'm going to play this clip tomorrow. I predict Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner are going to be elected, and then I would have no problem if Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones, Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez get elected as well. Boom. All right, so I was right. My predictions were correct in terms of who got elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Ichiro Suzuki got all but one vote. I hope you're happy that one voter who decided to be really cool, man. So Ichiro gets 99.7% of the vote. CC Sabathia got 342 votes. That's at 86% on his first year in the ballot. And Billy Wagner, who narrowly missed last year, got 277 votes, and he got 82.5% of the vote there. All three are terrific candidates. All three are legit Hall of Famers. And, the whole, did they get the unanimous vote? I always thought it was silly that there were players who didn't get the unanimous vote because, all because some sports writers way back when, Babe Ruth didn't get unanimous vote, Ty Cobb didn't get unanimous vote, Ted Williams didn't get unanimous vote. So for whatever reason, it was thought that, well, if they didn't get the unanimous vote, then no one can, which is, that's fractally stupid. And when Mariano Rivera finally became the first player to get to be a unanimous election, there were some people upset by that. I said, oh, you're saying Mariano Rivera is the greatest player of all time? No, unanimous vote means everyone agrees they're a Hall of Famer. Doesn't say they think they're the greatest of all time. It means Everyone agreed that person was a Hall of Famer. Willie Mays got 94.7% of the vote. More than 5% of those who voted saw Willie Mays and thought, I don't know. I mean, shouldn't we reserve this for the best ones? Babe Ruth. And I'll give this one on a tiny bit of a pass because it was the first ever Hall of Fame election, and people were like, probably weren't sure how they're going about doing it. But Babe Ruth got 95.1. Nearly 5% of the ballots did not say Babe Ruth's name. So just because people were dumb back then, if there's a player who should be unanimously voted in, then they should be unanimously voted in. If Ichiro became the second player unanimously voted in, it wouldn't be saying Ichiro is the second best player in the history of baseball. But Ichiro Suzuki becomes the first Japanese-born player to be elected to the Hall of Fame here in America. His numbers just in America, he started at age 27, remember. He played, he played 18 seasons. He played 2 games in 2019 when the Mariners started the season in Tokyo, so Ichiro could finish his major league career in Tokyo. But in his 18 plus seasons, let's call it 18 plus seasons, he batted .311. He is on, people got on because he didn't have a high on base percentage or high slugging. He just got hit after hit after hit, which after a while must be pretty good. And 3,089 hits just in the United States. If you want to include his time in Japan, he got 1,278 hits. So between his age 18 year and being 45, he accumulated 4,367 hits. And that's over 28 different seasons, really 27. Some people want to poo-poo that. People want to say he didn't walk enough. Okay, good for you. Good for you. He electrified the game. He was dynamic and joins that now wonderful fraternity of players who played the bulk of their prime in Seattle and didn't win a World Series title. Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez. I would put Randy Johnson in there. Who did wind up winning a World Series, but alas, didn't do it with Seattle. Man, there are just so many great players playing Seattle, and there you go. In 2012, he got traded to the Yankees and made it back to the League Championship Series. And his teammate on that team was CC Sabathia. And Sabathia is, dying breed, the true ace, someone who, a workhorse, giving you 200 some odd innings, put up great numbers during the steroid era, struck out a ton of batters, struck out over 3,000 batters. Was lots of innings, came up big in some very big games, and a League Championship Series MVP for the Yankees. Basically pitched the Brewers himself into their first postseason appearance in a couple of decades. And when it comes down to strikeouts, I mean, that's one of his great accomplishments. He's 18th all time in strikeouts. There are a grand total of 19 pitchers who have struck out 3,000 batters, and CC Sabathia is one of them. Now, Clayton Kershaw can join that group if he strikes out 32 batters this year. But when you take a look at some of the names who have got 3,000 strikeouts, Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens, Steve Carlton, Burt Blyleven, Tom Seaver, Don Sutton, Gaylord Perry, Walter Johnson, Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Greg Maddux, Phil Niekro, Fergie Jenkins, Pedro Martinez, Bob Gibson, Curt Schilling, CC Sabathia, and John Smoltz. Verlander and Scherzer are still active. Clemens has the PED scandal hanging over him, and Curt Schilling alienated himself with every writer on the planet Earth. I believe Clemens is a Hall of Famer. Believe me, I disagree with so many things that Curt Schilling has said, but it's not the Hall of Politics, it's the Hall of Fame. Curt Schilling and his brilliant career, he belongs in the Baseball Hall of Fame, as does CC Sabathia. And boy, you talk about how baseball history could be different. People are mad that the Dodgers are signing lots of players now, but when the McCourts were running the team, they couldn't sign big players because they're bankrupting the club. CC Sabathia was sitting there as a free agent after his time with the Brewers, his cameo with the Brewers. And the Dodgers, who made the playoffs, made it to the NLCS the year before, needed an ace to go along with this hot young pitcher named Clayton Kershaw. Sabathia was from California and wanted to play in California in the National League, and the Dodgers didn't make a bid for him, and he winds up going to the Yankees and cementing his trip to the Hall of Fame. Billy Wagner, one of the top relievers of his day, put up mind-boggling numbers as a relief pitcher, mainly with the Houston Astros. He did play with the Phillies, the Mets, had a cameo with the Red Sox, a cameo with the Atlanta Braves. In fact, finished his career as an all-star as a 38-year-old with the Braves going to the postseason. Carlos Beltran, who just missed the Hall of Fame vote this year, if he swung and got a double in the bottom of the ninth of Game 7 of the 2006 National League Championship Series, it would have sent the Mets to the World Series. And Billy Wagner was the closer, got a brilliant year for the Mets that year as their closer, and would have given him the chance to have that great closer moment. When you think about most of the closers who are in the Hall of Fame have had that great moment of clinching a huge game. I think Lee Smith is the only one I could think of who you can't put on that list. And Hoyt Wilhelm as well, but Wilhelm won a ring with the Giants. But, Suter and Eckersley and Fingers and Rivera and Bruce Suter, they all had those moments of clinching the huge game. And it's no fault to Billy Wagner, who just played for the Astros at the wrong time and just missed his opportunity with the Mets in that 2006 season. But he just had unbelievable years. Yes, I know he didn't throw a whole hell of a lot of innings. He was a specialist. Well, how much value could he have? If all those innings are high-profile innings, high-leverage innings, and he's coming up as big as he did, well, I believe he belongs in. I've said before, I'm a big Hall guy. And that's I have no problem taking that stance. But those are the three. They belong in the Hall of Fame, and I think that's good for baseball. And they're going to be joining the late Dick Allen and the fabulous Dave Cobra Parker in the Hall of Fame ceremony. We come back, we're going to take a look at who fell short of the Hall of Fame vote and who got no votes whatsoever. If you know me, and I know I do, you know that I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, comedy, or more. One of my favorite events of 2024 was I went to the final game of the National League Championship Series. I saw the Dodgers clinch the pennant over the Mets. You won't believe the excitement there was at the stadium. And I got those tickets through Game Time. Game Time makes it easier to get your tickets for favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You know, when I used my Game Time app to get those tickets for the National League Championship Series, there were so many great aspects to it. I got great deals, didn't break the bank, and I could see the view from a seat before I bought it. And the super deal was great, unbeatable prices, and here's a great thing. It has all-in pricing. Total cost up front, no surprise fees at the checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem the code. You want me to spell it out? I'll spell it out for you. LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All righty, folks. I had to just sort of click something off there. Let's take a look at the rest of the ballot there. Carlos Beltran came up short. He got 70% of the vote. I think he's all but a lock to eventually get in. You're going to get that close to the promised land and miss out. Andrew Jones also is the only other one to get more than 50% of the vote. Andrew Jones has a really interesting Hall of Fame candidacy. He doesn't have the traditional numbers that make your eye sockets pop out, but he did everything right. And for those who are more sabermetrically inclined, would point out some of the great value he had in the team, and also the fact that he had no peer as a defensive center fielder. Chase Utley had a kind of a disappointing. He got only 39.8% of the vote. Look at Manny Ramirez is falling off the ballot next year. A-Rod is and he got 34.3. A-Rod got 37. They're still floundering around there. They're going to eventually get in the Hall of Fame because of some sort of veterans committee or something. Andy Pettit is, his support is not that great right now. It's kind of sinking. Felix Hernandez in his first ballot, talk about another Mariner who didn't get to see a World Series, got 20.6% of the vote. He's still going to be on the ballot next year. It's going to be an interesting case. Bobby Abreu, another interesting case. Really, really terrific career and worth taking a look at. Same with Jimmy Rollins, who will be on his fifth ballot. And Dustin Pedroia, Omar Vizquel, the less said about him, the better. And a smattering of Mark Burley's, Francisco Rodriguez, David Wright's, and Torrey Hunter's will stay on the ballot next year because they got over 5% of the vote. Again, Mark Burley had a wonderful career. 45 people put him on the ballot. I don't see him as a Hall of Famer. I think of him as a really good pitcher. And then there are the people who got. I'm always intrigued by the ones who get a vote here or a vote there. For those who fall off the ballot, Ian Kinsler got 10 votes for 2.5% of the votes. 10 people said Ian Kinsler belongs in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm sure Ian Kinsler is going to take all 10 of those writers out to dinner. Russell Martin got 9 votes. He's off the ballot. Brian McCann got 7. Troy Tulowitzki got 4. Man, his career just exploded when he got out of the gate. Couldn't quite maintain that, and injuries got the better of him. Curtis Granderson got 3 votes, and I guarantee they're from 3 writers who loved one of the easiest people to root for in all of baseball. And Granderson, fine career. He's probably be a terrific broadcaster. 3 people said to be in the Hall of Fame. Same with Adam Jones. Again, when you get down to this point, you get people who are just likable dudes. And Adam Jones always seemed like a good guy. He got 3 votes. Carlos Gonzalez got 2 votes. I wonder if those 2 votes, 2 of those people were also part of the 4 votes for Troy Tulowitzki, just trying to get another Rocky in there. Hanley Ramirez, Fernando Rodney, and Ben Zobrist all got 0 votes. Ben Zobrist has to settle for being the World Series MVP for a Cubs championship. Fernando Rodney has to deal with having that wonderful hat tucked to the side. And when you look at Hanley Ramirez's career when he started, he looked like he might have been a Hall of Fame candidate, but alas, it didn't turn out to be that way. Next year, you're still going to have A-Rod on the ballot. I'm voting for A-Rod. There's, of all the first ballots for next year, there's none that sort of really jump out. Cole Hamels, Ryan Braun, Edwin Encarnacion, Howie Kendrick. This is what blows my mind is Howie Kendrick was the World Series hero for the Nationals when they won the World Series against Houston. I thought, wait, that can't be long enough. Oh, it is. It's going to be 2026 next year. But like Braun, Encarnacion, Hendrick, Alex Gordon, Hunter Pence, Matt Kemp, Daniel Murphy, Rick Porcello, Jeff Samardzija, Edinson Volquez. None of these guys are going to be Hall of Famers. None of those are certainly none of them will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, none of them are going to be Hall of Famers. I'm gonna say it. And so when you take a look at and when a year where there's no obvious first ballot Hall of Famer, that bodes well for the Carlos Beltrans. That bodes well for the Chase Utleys to gain some ground, for Andrew Jones to be on some ballots that he may not have been, and for some people to take a good long look at the career of Bobby Abreu. And so I think next year you're going to see Beltran, Andrew Jones, and Chase Utley in the Hall of Fame. But then again, I've been wrong before, and I might be wrong now. Hey, let's hear from our good friends over at Select Quote. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Olympics. And the same thing goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from Select Quote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. Select Quote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets Select Quote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer one-size-fits-all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage for up to $5 million, no medical exam required. And it's more affordable than you think. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedon. Go to selectquote.com/lockedon today to get started. That's selectquote.com/lockedon. SelectQuote. They shop, you save. All right, we got some people going on in the chat here. Silent E says, I wish Torrey Hunter would get some more love. I understand he may not have been an all-time great caliber, but he has a lot of the same numbers as other inductees. He was great during his career. Again, fine player. Really terrific career. I don't see him as a Hall of Famer. Do you what? I may have to be convinced about that. This is one of the things when you have a player who is on the ballot and he's hanging on by his fingernails with 5.1% of the ballot. We'll have to take a good long look at him. I can't pretend that I'm going to necessarily be on your side on this, but there you go. On other news about Pete Alonso, Real One's Architecture says, I don't think that Alonso will get 2 years this offseason with a shallow priority at first base. I think teams will take him. I don't think he will hold a roster spot within the next years. I think a lot of it will come from, I haven't ruled out him going back to the Mets, but I also think there may be an opportunity for a team that is, that is totally out of it could sign him. A Marlins or something like that could just be one of the out of the blue signing of him. I have a feeling he will eventually play for the Mets again. He's going to be one of those players who may, play a year or two in a Texas or a Miami or a Milwaukee. Probably wouldn't be Milwaukee because he's not that popular in Milwaukee right now. But then eventually returns to the Mets as a DH or something like that. And if there's anything else, let me see what else is out there in terms of news going out. Oh, the White Sox signed Martin Perez. I thought that was interesting. The White Sox have to bring someone in. And hey, Jose Leclerc signed with the A's. And the A's have been signing players mainly so they don't get sued. That's what's happening. So they don't get sued. And if they had just signed players like a normal team, then they would be okay. But now they have to go on a spending spree, so they aren't being accused of, just pocketing the revenue sharing, which is what they've been doing because Fisher is a liar and a con artist. But the fact that the moves that they're making will probably make the A's better next year. And what's going on is the A's will probably be a contender. And with that, we could potentially see the answer for all the people whining about the Dodgers. The issue isn't the Dodgers spending money. The issue is other teams not. And also keep in mind, people always say, well, it's the same teams and other teams can't compete. In the last 20 seasons, 19 out of 30 major league teams have made it to the World Series. Meanwhile, chances are the Chiefs are going to go to the Super Bowl again. And for the last bunch of years, it's been the Patriots and Chiefs every year with an occasional cameo by a Broncos here or a Bengals there. Why? I mean, why is it that baseball gets the rap of it's the same teams every year when that is factually untrue? But if you're worried about teams like the Dodgers spending too much money, the question is not the Dodgers. The question is why other teams aren't spending money. And with that in mind, that may be a topic we come up later on in the week. However, you can follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. Follow me on Instagram at Sully Baseball Podcast. Once every 45 years, I'm on Blue Sky at Sully Baseball, but mainly just post your comments right here on the YouTubes. Talking about the Cooperstown announcement and the fact that 3 really good candidates are going to be joining Parker and Allen. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.